It gives me great pleasure to join you all today at this gathering of the top leaders of the private sector of Guyana, along with the top decision makers from the government of Guyana. Congratulations to Mr. Rafiq Khan and his team, who have had a successful year for GMSA. I have been told that your membership and your activity have grown well, and your team is working with the government of Guyana to improve the business environment. We are gathered here at a golden period for Guyana, which is poised to lead the growth in the entire region. Being the highest growth country in the world for the last 2 years, Guyana is poised to further in its economic growth trajectory. Numerous delegations come in and day out to Guyana, and as my good friend, the High Commissioner was just mentioning, there are always some delegations in Guyana floating around in some part of this country. In fact, I am here after seeing off an Indian official delegation directly from the airport. GMSA's mission of leadership to initiate, advocate, and promote policies and programs for the development of the manufacturing and services sector, to ensure compliance with global best practices and due regard for social and environmental issues, is very apt at this juncture of growth for Guyana. I wish them all success to achieve this and more in the near future for Guyana. As we all know, Guyana's huge economic growth will next decades, mainly due to international investment into the oil and gas sector. But this has to be tempered, and it has to be ensured that adequate economic diversification in sectors it should not be restricted to only the oil and gas sectors. For this, both the government of Guyana and the private sector should work together assiduously. I'm very happy to note here that many Indian firms are now coming to Guyana in various sectors, some large, some small, and they're working to establish their presence in Guyana. They're forming some joint ventures with local firms, and we at the High Commission have been approached by many Indian companies asking for guidance, and we always indicate to them the best opportunities in Guyana by putting them in touch with the local and associations. As is wont in any developing economies, it is the importance of recognizing the value of small and medium-sized enterprises, which are the main contributors to the growth of any country's economy and creating progress. As Mr. Rafiq Khan was just mentioning, Guyana is trying to transition from being a primary producer and to become increasingly involved in the secondary and the tertiary sectors and in manufacturing. There is obviously a need for significantly reducing the cost of doing business and heightening. One of the important sectors I see can make a significant difference is, of course, the agriculture and agro-processing sector, which will play a major role in the non-oil sector, especially both at the farm level and at the advanced agro-processing levels, and with Guyana's goal, along with CARICOM, to increase food production and to reduce their imports by 25% by 2025. Other sectors which I see could highlight Guyana's growth are forestry, housing, healthcare, education, pharma, IT, etc. Mining and quarrying are, of course, most sought after with the building of capacity and more investors coming in. Let me now talk a bit about India. As you all know, India's economy is described as huge, complex, and growing. It is one of the most exciting and emerging markets in the world, and India has fully recovered from its pre-pandemic. It has fully recovered to the pre-pandemic GDP in 2019. We have emerged as the fastest growth economy and the major economy which is consistently doing, and we expect to be one of the top economic powers globally in the next 10 to 15 years. India, of course, is backed by its robust democracy and strong partnerships across the world. I'm very happy to tell you that recently India was stated to become the 5th largest economy in the world, overtaking the UK. Despite continuing geopolitical concerns, rising interest rates, India has been able to fend off even the high prices of the crude oil and few other commodities and the economic activity in India is holding up better than anticipated. This is mainly due to the domestic demand in India and the fact that Indians are buying more and more made in India products than outside, a point the credit for India's growth in the last few decades goes mainly to the manufacturing and the services sector. Agriculture and associated activities have also been improvised in India to match the global standards, and the export of various food products has seen an upward growth. This is one area that we feel that Guyana. Industrial sector lag behind. A number of new large, small-scale industries set up in recent times, which have had a on the Indian economy. With more than 100 unicorns valued up around $350 billion, India, third unicorn base, the startups, which are valued at more than $1 billion in the world. The government is also focusing on renewable energy, and just like Guyana, we are working to achieve 40% of our energy from non-fossil sources. Mr. Ra, India needs to boost its rate of employment growth, create about 90 million non-farm jobs, 2023 and 2030, to continue increasing productivity and economic. And this is possible only by engaging the MSME sectors, manufacturing. So in India, both the government and private sectors have realized this fact, and they have started working that India does have the potential to become a global manufacturing hub. And by 2030, we can add more than $500 billion annually to the global economy. So the efforts by both the government and the private sector have resulted in India becoming an attractive hub for foreign investments in the manufacturing sector. Several mobile phone, luxury and automobile brands, among others, have set up shop in India for their manufacturing bases. We see the manufacturing sector of India having the potential to reach $1 trillion by 2025. A globally competitive manufacturing sector is India's greatest potential to drive economic growth and job creation in this decade. Due to factors and capacity building for millions of people, India does have a significant potential to engage in international markets, and one of them could be Guyana. With transformation being a crucial achieving an advantage fiercely, technology has sparked creativity. The manufacturing world has automated and process-driven manufacturing, which is expected to increase the efficiency and production of the manufacturing industries. An extensive range of service industries have been experiencing double-digit growths in recent years, which has been supported by digital technologies and institutional frameworks made possible by the Government of India. This highlights the big role that government can play in promoting such businesses. According to a recent Boston analysis, India could become the largest consumer economy as its consumption may quadruple to $4 trillion by 2025 due to changes in consumer behavior and spending patterns. By 2040, India is expected to become the second largest economy in terms of purchasing power parity, according to a recent report of Coopers. As they say, Guyana and the impetus on local content will push companies to work towards increasingly employ and train locals, providing the much-needed jobs. Building skills and developing capacity at all levels of jobs, starting even with basic ones like carpenters, plumbers, electricians, is much needed and will require adequate investment in technologies and collaboration with suitable institutions. We have to ensure that both the private and the public sector works together in this. This opportunity to say we are very happy that this year, that is in January 2023, His Excellency President Dr. Mohammad Irfan Ali would be the chief guest at the 17th Pasi Bharat Diaspora Day celebrations from 8th to 10th of January 2023 in Indore, Madhya Pradesh. We hope that this trip will lead to further collaborations with various Indian companies across various sectors, especially in the manufacturing and services sectors. As Rafiq was mentioning earlier, maybe we'll find more companies to partner with those from Guyana. So in this regard, I would like to urge the GMSA to consider mounting a delegation of interested entrepreneurs and businesses to India accompanying the President. I would like to end here by once again congratulating Guyana on the amazing development happening in your nation. And I would like to call on GMSA and other private sector associations to build the private sector responsibly. Your entrepreneurship and innovation and investment, of course, will take this country to newer heights. And I want to assure you that Indian companies will make a meaningful difference, generating successful and productive partnerships. I thank you all for your patient listening and the GMSA for having provided this opportunity for sharing my thoughts with you. Very much. Enjoy the day.